to the Barstool Banner on Steve-O's Music Madness. Today, I am happy and honored to have an interview with one of my favorite teachers when I was growing up. This guy has a rich past as far as now. It's been great. So today, we're going to do an interview with Rick Coleman, one of my favorite teachers on the Barstool Banner. So, grab your beer off the top, and let's find out what it's about. Welcome to the Barstool Banner. I'm Pete Judy with Steve from Steve-O's Music Madness, and probably one of my favorite teachers growing up, as well as my sons, Rick Coleman. How you doing?
It's Mr. Coleman to you.
And Mr. Coleman.
Yeah.
Great to have you here.
I think we can drop the Mr. and just
Mr. At this point, we
Yeah.
can, yeah.
I still have a hard time doing that.
Yeah, I know. It's all about the respect, and this man obviously deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
So, what, you have something to say?
Nope. I'm just listening. I'm going to
Yeah.
follow your leads.
So, tell me, I mean, you're somebody that's got a rich history, musical, and educational. So, what is your first love? Music or education? How did all this come about?
It was kind of a simultaneous thing. I mean, like growing up, I always had a love for art, but I've always felt like art and music go hand in hand. I mean, and they both kind of reflect our society. And so, as I was growing up, I was 10 years old, I think, in '63 when the Beatles hit. So that changed so much of the culture. And along with that, the Beatles and the British invasion, the art scene started changing. You had Andy Warhol, you had Jackson Pollock, and then you had all the social things going on with this, equal rights, women's lib, earth movements. So all these things were happening at once, and they just all kind of morphed together. So I think as I got more involved in the art, the music also became more a part of what I enjoyed. So.
Right. So, growing up, I think you were probably my, 7th, 8th, 9th grade art teachers. Is art something you've always taught? Because I know as my son got older, you were a major influence in his life as far as drawing and art. And I can't believe the impact that you had on him. I still have my son's portfolio of all the art and everything. And I could pull out any picture right now and I could say, tell me your thoughts. And he would say, well, I know, but Mr. Coleman said that I do a really good job of this. I do a really good job of that. But I think he says my strong point is like, what did he say? Colored pencils and blending and shading. He said he really likes that. So is art something that you grew up in and going to school and everything, you're like, that's what I want to do?
So like growing up as a kid, my dad owned an insurance agency. Uh-huh. And you have to remember in the 50s, it's a whole different ballgame. We could get like maybe 4 channels on our TV if the antenna was right.
That happened in the 70s too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Aluminum foil, right?
Yeah.
Stop. Don't move.
No, your dad, no. I would go outside to turn, and my brother was at the door, and Dad's saying, that's it. So you stop.
Maybe stop.
And relay the
Stay
message
out
all
there.
the way. Yeah, relay the message.
I'll tell you what's happening.
Yep.
we were the remote controls, we were human
Yeah,
remotes.
exactly.
But so you kind of create your own fun, and of course we read comic books and stuff, and we played. But Dad would bring home paper from his insurance agency, and for us to draw on. And,
just scrap.
Yeah. So that was kind of the beginning of it, and then my dad actually painted, so we watched him, and it just became a love, and it just grew. And I was fortunate. I mean, I had great teachers in elementary, and then in middle school, and then in high school, and they just kept, spurring that interest. And so I kind of knew that's what I wanted.
Now, do you follow your dad's footsteps in the painting wise? I mean, is like the pictures he painted, is that what you do as well, or do you I know you go above and beyond it, but I mean, what would you follow the?
Well, he did a lot of painting, like just for us, like Walt Disney characters and stuff. But then he also did some more abstract art, that was really with oils and stuff. And what happened with Dad was his hands. He had psoriasis so bad his hands would crack open.
Is that right?
Yeah, and it hurt to paint, so he eventually gave it up. But he was always encouraging my sister and myself, to go on with it, follow our dreams. So he was always very supportive.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's good.
And also, following the dreams, I think you still post even the pictures of your sister that she painted as well, don't you?
Yeah, I just finished up a series of her work.
Okay, yeah, that was pretty neat seeing that on Facebook. I mean, if you follow him, that was pretty neat seeing that.
She was really talented, and she had so many friends. My gosh, but she passed away in 2002.
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
And so there's a lot of people that never knew her, So I wanted to do this for her friends, to kind of revisit her work and some memories. But then I wanted to introduce her to some people that did know about her, So that was kind of the purpose of all those.
Well, that was one of them.
Yeah, how's it worked out?
I'm sorry.
How's it worked out?
It's been great.
Yeah.
The response has been
Good
amazing.
response.
I think on the painting a couple of weeks ago, there were over 200 likes and responses to it. So.
Do you have a website or anything like that, or is it just Facebook?
I just post on Facebook every Friday. So.
Every Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Probably golf's like Monday through Thursday.
yeah, probably.
Place. I mean, I'm just saying.
I could do that.
I may do a lot of things, but golf's not one.
So your Facebook, where can people access you from Facebook to see?
All these photos, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a real techno guy,
Yeah.
so I guess I don't know. I get on Facebook and just type in my name.
Rick Coleman.
I would guess, yeah.
Yeah, and it brings it up, and you can see your work as well as your sister's and influences and such. Right?
I've been doing that for about a year now. So.
Yeah.
Good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep.
It's been fun, and the nice thing about Facebook, and I stay away from political and religious stuff. I don't want to get into the drama, but
Right.
the best thing for me is I've been able to reconnect with Steve.
Yeah.
A lot of my ex students, and
Yeah.
so that's been a really great thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry you had to connect with him, but I'm glad you connected with me.
Man,
So there's what?
I was his favorite though, Pete. Not
Yeah,
you.
but were you?
Yeah. He said one time I was.
All
I
right,
think.
let's settle it now. Who's your favorite?
Oh, shoot.
Who's paying me?
I am.
Okay,
Wait, I got the money right here.
sorry, Steve.
Well, at least he's honest.
How much you want better? I mean, that's all I got.
Sorry,
Yeah, great. How fast that changed?
this is real.
Yeah, that's real. Mine was a promise,
Yeah.
a whisper and a promise.
Oh, shoot.
So tell me,
Here before I forget.
here's your change.
Oh, shoot, that's funny.
So, growing up, musically, first off, I'm listening to you talk about some of the past things that you grew up with. It is only stuff that I've read about.
Okay.
And I hear you talking and I'm just like, holy cow.
Well, I'm thinking when he brought up the Beatles, how it
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah.
I mean, how.
The British invasion.
Yeah. What was it? Because we wasn't there, but how? What was it like? I mean,
Well,
I bet you had the haircut like the Beatles, didn't you?
no, we weren't allowed. It wasn't until I graduated from Connersville in 1971, and so we were on the old campus, and my junior year we moved to the new campus. So that would have been what, 69, yeah, 69, 70. That was the first year that they did away with the dress codes. Up until that year,
Yeah. What did you have to wear before that?
okay, the hair could not touch your ears.
Right.
Okay, sideburns could not come below your ears.
Right. But below.
And your hair could not touch your collar.
So your military cut.
Pretty much.
Did they have a length?
Not so much, as long as you stayed within those
You
parameters.
could be a greaser and.
Well, there were those, and then blue jeans weren't allowed. At the time, most of the people wore khaki slacks, wingtips or penny loafers, And then the Ivy League shirts with the button-down collars, the pastel colors were very popular, But that was kind of the sign of the times. You talked about the Beatles, and in my art class, I always wanted music.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I would try to expose kids to different things, and so we would share music. But I think the thing about the Beatles, what happened up, all the music. Okay, you had the Beach Boys, you had the Four Seasons, and they were wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
You had your Motown, but all these songs are about love, finding that perfect mate. Little Surfer Girl.
Oh, yeah.
All these songs, and they were all about romance and all about. So when the Beatles came along, if you think about it, their songs were still the same. They were so influenced by the American culture, Elvis.
You think so?
Oh yeah, very much so.
Before they even came stateside?
Buddy Holly, all these. And if you listen to some of their early stuff, it was redos of some of these American classics.
Yeah. Huh.
But what changed when they really hit here? It wasn't the message. It was the same. I want to hold your hand. I saw her standing there. I'm so happy just to dance with you. But it was the beat.
Right.
It was this new beat and the vocals. It was so brand new. So
it's probably the same 4 chords over and over, just rearranged. But
But it worked.
But the way they did it, though, right?
Yeah,
the presentation, right? You wouldn't know that, right?
And so, but what the Beatles did, what was so amazing about them, was they reinvented themselves so many times. And every time they reinvented themselves, the music industry changed. So, like, what I'm getting at is so they're doing the same kind of Liverpool beat for 2 or 3 albums, and then they come out with this album called Rubber Soul, and it was was it country?
Rubber Soul.
I'd never heard of that.
An album or a song?
Rubber Soul.
The album?
A song?
Was the name of it. The name of the album is Rubber Soul.
Huh.
And
I can honestly say I don't think I've ever heard that.
it was, people didn't know what to make of it. It was so radically different. So it kind of changed, and even the content of the music started changing some. But when things really changed was when they came out with Sgt. Pepper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they transformed the industry again.
That's the sidewalk walk. Right?
No, that was Abbey Road.
Is that Abbey Road?
And that came.
Oh yeah,
later.
Sgt. Pepper's like the Where's Waldo?
The montage.
Yeah. Yeah.
But here the funny thing was, so when the Beatles first came out, the parents were like, "Oh no, look at these thugs." They were all nice suits and Beatle boots and hair here, but so about the time the parents started saying, "Well, maybe they're not," here comes the Rolling Stones.
Oh my God!
And
they got to be devil reincarnated.
And they. And then the parents, okay, what are we going to do now? It's like, who are these guys? And they came out, but those guys really, they were. I can't get no satisfaction. Mm-hmm. When I'm driving in my car, a man comes on the TV telling me how white my shirt should be. It was put down music. It was anti-established, and that was very threatening.
Oh,
it really was.
Kind of like what it is today, isn't it? Anti-threatening. Did you ever see the Beatles play live?
I'll tell you what. They played at the Coliseum in Indianapolis. Tickets were $5.
Oh, I know.
And
you saw them?
No.
No?
No. And I was thinking about that today. It's like, why didn't I beg my parents?
Oh, how old were you then when they would have been at the Coliseum?
I would have been 12. I mean,
oh my goodness,
that would have been a reach.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of kids did. I mean, but they played at the Coliseum and tickets for $5.
$5.
I mean, it's like when we went to concerts, they were like $12.
$12, and we had $25 for
Rolling Stones. You ever see the Rolling Stones?
No, I missed them. I mean, when they were the last time they were in India, I just wasn't able to deal with the crowds and stuff with my help.
So you saw the Beatles growing up. You saw the Rolling Stones growing up. I'm assuming Jimi Hendrix was in
Well,
there.
and see, so there was another pioneer. You know,
I think he even played in Muncie, Jimi Hendrix did.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
but the interesting thing about that time period, and I'm not stuck in the 60s and 70s, there's so much good
Well, you
music.
should be, because that's better than any of the shit coming out
Well,
now.
but
Hey,
there is good music today, but you've got to look a little harder to find it, I think.
Yeah.
But so everything was brand new. So like, here comes Jimmy Hendrix. So first of all, we're kind of into the Beatles, the Kinks, the Animals, the Rolling Stones.
Kings. Good night.
Oh, man.
They were amazing.
Oh,
But so, and here's the interesting thing about Jimi Hendrix. He was a military kid.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the thing people don't realize is he played. He was a guitar player for one of the Ronettes or a couple of the Motown groups.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I believe I read something about that
So-
before he really broke. Yeah.
And there were the stereotypes. Okay, you know, you had the Beach Boys or West Coast surf music. Then you started having the San Francisco Jefferson Airplane stuff. Then you had the East Coast soul and surf. That was like Under the Boardwalk and those guys. So, but people were kind of in this little shell. You know, that's where you. So here comes Jimi Hendrix. He's got an afro.
Yeah.
He's got on paisley clothes. He's playing the Stratocaster with these. And the first time I ever saw Marshalls was Jimi Hendrix. And then he's got these two guys, and white guys. They got froze.
Yeah.
You know, and they're all these like
Right.
And I tell you what, the first
And
time
they could play some serious instruments.
and when I heard Purple Haze, that
Oh yeah.
bump, bump, and everybody's, what is this guy? Now, and then you think about his influences, Stevie Ray Vaughan, obviously, Rush, the lead guitar player for Rush. You can just hear Hendrix, and man, he changed things.
Mm-hmm.
Everything then was new, and I think that's what's special about that time period. You know, Creedence Clearwater Revival, John Fogerty. It's like, and so you've got Hendrix, you got the Beatles. Now here's John Fogerty and Creedence.
Yeah. Straight out of the military. Yeah. Started that thing right. Have you seen the documentary on like Netflix?
I hear
think
it's
it is?
amazing. I haven't seen it.
Seen it, but I heard it's really nice.
But it was just a really exciting time, you know, and then the message, you know, like I said, that started, you know, people were talking about, you know, anti-war,
yeah.
and people became more socially involved in things, and but the music and that all followed. I mean, it was all part of the thing.
So, did you ever see Jimi Hendrix?
No.
Did you ever? Okay,
I was fortunate. I saw Three Dog Night. That was the first group I saw.
Yeah.
And
That was the first group you saw. How old were you?
I was a junior in high school.
Yep. Okay.
And you know, today when we're so mobile, it's no big deal to run to Indy or Cincinnati. Or
Oh
something.
yeah.
Back then, that was
Yeah.
still a pretty major
travel.
thing.
Yeah. That was a good day. Yeah.
So, but I saw them, and then down the road, I mean, I was fortunate. I've seen some. I mean, Alice Cooper was amazing.
Oh.
That's still on my bucket list. I haven't seen
What
that.
year did you see Alice Cooper?
That was, I don't know, maybe around 2012.
Oh, so you saw him recently?
Yeah.
You probably saw him when I saw him.
He was at the Murat.
I didn't
Well, it's
see
not the
him
Murat
there.
now, but that's what it was then.
Yeah.
He was. Alice. Oh, so okay. Now here's this. So your parents kind of say, okay, the Rolling Stones. So I bring home this Alice Cooper album, and he's singing about dead babies can't take things off the shelf.
And this is like right after the Rolling Stones. This is
Yeah.
Alice
Well, this is a little
Cooper's
bit later.
earlier albums.
And then my parents said, oh my what's happening here?
My God, we went to the Beatles to the Rolling Stones to baby killing.
Yeah. But, you know, Alice Cooper was a cartoon character. I mean, he was funny. He wasn't. I don't think he was ever meant to be real. It was just he was like a cartoon. He was fun. Alice, that was his name. But he did these amazing albums. And so that transformed. I mean, now music was becoming more of a stage presence. I mean, it wasn't just being a band.
Yeah, it's
You
more
had-
theater kind of at that point,
exactly.
isn't it? Yeah.
And then another transition period around 1970 was we had this wonderful music store in Connersville run by a guy named Bob Lyons. So in those days, You go down to Bob and you say, "Hey, Bob, do you have the Rolling Stones new album?" And he'd say, "No, but I'm going to the warehouse Thursday and I'll pick it up."
I'll get it.
So he'd write it down on his little yellow notepad. And he closed his store on Thursdays. So Friday after school, we all ran down to this. And he had the albums there,
Wow.
Oh, and that was like, it's like music at your fingertips.
I mean, he was like,
It's like, that's instantaneous.
yeah.
Thursday, I've got it next week.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
But really a kind of an interesting thing. So like these 8 tracks are really big.
Oh, yeah.
8 tracks.
And the tracks would morph together, and you get. And he one day he says, "Rick," he said, "I want you to look at this." He said, "This is for a car." He said, "This is a cassette player." I said, "Well, what's that?" He said, "No, this is good." He said, "There's no more of this."
There's no more in the song.
Yeah.
Click, click. Channel
Or
2.
halfway through the song,
Yeah.
click.
Yeah, yeah.
It goes to the next
So-
one.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah. See local standings for all that, you young ones.
but he convinced me, so I bought it, and all my friends said, "Are you nuts?" So my bass player John, he was an electrical genius. So we put in this.
So, wait.
Go ahead.
Stop. You're talking about 8 tracks.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about your bass player.
Yeah.
Let's get to that here in a second now, because now we lead into something else.
Okay. You want to take a break?
So we.
No. Let's hear the story. How this?
Okay. All right.
Well, I guess I'll get it. So he installed. It was Christmas. I got this, and he installed the cassette player, and they only had maybe 10 cassettes available at the time. So the first cassettes I bought was Woodstock, the double, and so
The first cassette.
yeah. So John was
Do you still have it?
no.
Oh my God.
But
Where's it at?
Woodstock, it was in New York.
No. Where's your cassette at? Where was that at?
It was in my I had a '68 Mustang,
Yeah.
and we put it under the dash.
Yeah.
And then we had to drill holes for the speakers. And so John was skeptical, and then he heard it, and he looked at me just like his mouth dropped. It was a whole different sound. It was clean. My poor parents, the other CD I bought, or cassette I bought, was Black Sabbath by this guy. Ozzy
Oh
Osbourne.
yeah.
It was the very first one, had that witch on the cover.
Oh yeah.
And so I had that on cassette and Woodstock, but then I had to buy the album. So they're hearing this stuff with Alice Cooper. My son's wasted. He's gone. There's no hope here.
Oh shoot.
But so I don't know. It was just, I guess, you could say maybe Alice and Ozzy were maybe the first heavy metal. Deep Purple was another one.
So when did you get into playing music?
Probably about 4th, 5th grade.
Oh really? When's your first band?
About 7th grade. 7th,
Really?
8th grade, yeah.
And this is out of where did you play at? Like Connersville or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we weren't.
And what did you do?
I was rhythm guitar.
Oh yeah. Okay. So, what's the name of that band?
I think, see, in those days, you change band members
Sure.
about every other week.
What's the one you remember?
I think that was Ancient Young.
Ancient
Young.
Young.
And,
Man,
it was really interesting.
it's a good name.
Well,
I mean, we can't use it now, but I'm just.
Okay,
well, maybe
we can.
no, we can. No, we
Yeah.
can.
I'm sure it's
I didn't
not
have it
copyrighted,
copyrighted
so
or
we
anything,
got
so-
it.
Yeah, we can steal
Yeah.
that one.
Go. Hey Jay, go copyright that real quick, will you? Okay.
But so I mean, at the time, and my parents, like I said, were very supportive, and my first guitar was a Gibson J45, and it was a beautiful guitar. It was like at the time probably about $300, which is a lot of money.
Oh sure, yeah.
So I had that. That was what I started taking lessons off of, and I took lessons off of a guy that's an amazing guitar player, Walt Lane, and he and the Toller brothers were good friends. And
Walt Lang. That name rings a bell.
well,
for
he
me.
played with Denny Dixon. He was a percussionist. And
Dixon, is that the Denny's Drum Depot? Or,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
same guy.
Okay.
Because that's
okay.
that's actually where I met the drummer for the Toller Brothers.
Yeah.
Dave,
Okay.
Dave. Yeah.
Dave. And so but everybody kind of ran in circles in those days.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mike Jordan was really good on the keyboards. He's still in Richmond.
Mike Jordan? Is that Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan.
Did he play basketball?
There was a guy I seem to remember that
He probably
Played
wasn't
played a
any good.
little bit.
He probably wasn't any
But this guy played keyboards.
good. Oh, yeah?
But he didn't jump very high.
Right. But I bet he tickled the ivories, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I've lost my whole train of thought.
Well, that was your first band. Did you
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
put it? Did you guys put any music out? Or, I mean, was this
No.
I didn't,
We weren't, we were bottom feeders.
Did you ever play live?
Yeah.
First song you played live? Give or take, right?
Just Like Me by Paul Revere and the Raiders.
Oh, yeah.
Or I'm Not Your Stepping Stone. Those were the early on things we did. But there was, my bass player was John Godsey, and Mike Morris was our drummer. And we basically stayed together,
Right.
the three of us. We'd always get a new guy in. It wouldn't work, So,
Right.
but then we got, finally, about my,
So who was your singer through all this? Somebody that just came and went?
well, yeah, you try out guys.
Right.
And,
So you were just basically rhythm. You just had the rhythm section
Yeah.
down, and you just kind of
and I had to make up for a lot of
ebb and
stuff.
flow.
because-
Yeah.
But I wasn't very good, but I was just arrogant enough. Sometimes, being cocky will take you.
Sure.
But like I said, as far as all the groups in Connersville, we were just very, very average. Until we picked up a kid about my senior year in high school named Denny Richardson. And he's playing with the band. He's still playing today with Sweetwater. I don't know if you're familiar.
I've heard of Sweetwater. Yep.
Similar to Sean. I mean, they play, but Denny's still playing. But Denny was really good in that. But early on, we had our amps. And I did. And my first electric guitar was a Fender Jaguar.
So, what did you like? What's your favorite instrument? You went from Gibson to Fender. I mean, there's a big difference in the necks alone.
Yeah, well, actually now I'm thinking buying a Telecaster. I'm in love with Fender. I just do like it.
Yeah. They have a little Fender.
The necks.
Yeah, the necks are a little thinner.
now, did you set your amps up like Jimi Hendrix did, or
So that's it. I mean, okay. In the day, I had a Jaguar, and that was that was a big deal. But our amps were like Silvertones. You bought them at Sears,
You're right.
and a lot of groups had them. And so you had one channel you plugged your guitar into, and then the other channel you plugged your mics into.
Hell, we did that how long ago?
Oh man! And then the feedback was just like,
Oh, my
it was
God,
horrible.
yes.
Yeah.
I know. It's
we went through that.
terrible.
We blamed it on everybody else except for
Yeah,
us.
I blamed it on him, and he played
I was
drums.
a drummer.
I know. I still blamed it on him.
but there were two bands in Connersville that were amazing, and it really Toller Brothers. The guys that played music respected them, and we knew how good they were.
Mm-hmm.
But the two bands in the day, the one was called the House Rockers.
The house.
Jim Moore was the lead guitar player and singer. He was an amazing guitar player, but they were like Blue Eyed Soul, and they were the dance band. I mean, and they were very good. But they were, like I said, the guys. They wore the khaki pants, and the Ivy League shirts.
And that's what they wore to play. That was stage show.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah. They dressed alike, and they did like Wilson Pickett, Midnight Hour, Mustang Sally, Young Rascals, all that. And they were amazing. Well, but then what happened was there was this band that evolved. Bob Todrank, who's now I think in Los Angeles. Jim Lloyd. Bob was the keyboard. Jim Lloyd was the bass player. He's in Nashville now. And then there was this guy.
Friends still communicate?
I do with Jim.
Yeah.
But not Bob and I were never really that close. He was a nice guy, but
Sure.
they were older. And then they had a drummer, Dave Kuhn, and a lead guitar player, Danny Weeks. So here's the House Rockers, and then these guys come out, and nobody ever seen like it. They had a wall of Super Beatles. And
Super Beatles.
Super Beatles.
What's that?
When the Beatles played, they used Vox was the big amp. back in the day, and they were good amps, and they were solid.
Tubes.
Yes,
Yep.
AC-10s, and but what happened with the Beatles? They were the noise from the crowd was so loud when they played at Shea Stadium. So that Vox developed these amps.
Shea Stadium is freaking
that were
incredible.
just they stood this tall, and they were on rollers. They were so heavy,
Yeah.
but they had incredible sound and power. I mean, it's like you could not.
So the wall of Beatles, was that?
Super.
So that was that something done by the Beatles, or that was
Well,
just
that
a
it was
rack
developed
that you
basically
used?
for them, but then this revolution of sound came out, and they had these amps, and like everybody's like, "Are you kidding me?"
Right.
Because nobody could afford that.
Sure.
They were like $1,000
Sure.
a piece, but they had acquired them, and they came out, and Bob Todrick, I remember he had these boots came up here and pants, and he had hair down here, and we're thinking, how do you do this at Connersville with this dress code? But he was the band leader.
He was the band leader.
Band leader in school.
In school, yeah.
He was the teacher.
Yeah.
He was incredible. He was near genius, but he kept his hair back.
All right. Yeah.
But this Danny Weeks looked like Mick Jagger. He played guitar, and he come out. He had a Gibson SG, I'll never forget, and he had a cigarette, and he'd stick it down, and they're playing this music. It's like, well, this isn't the House Rockers, and they're playing Stones. They're playing all this stuff. And it's like, and they got strobe lights, and then there was, I mean, those are two bands everybody wanted to be.
Yeah.
And then the Flowers was another one came out. That was because, and they had a bass player, Mike Webb, who went on. He was an incredible musician. Mark Sizemore, Alfred, and then Jack Daniels was the drummer.
Jack Daniels.
Yeah,
I've had his whiskey. It's good.
Yeah.
and so was his drumming up there. But those three were like, they were just incredible people and musicians. And,
Isn't that crazy how, you grow up and you talked about, your interest in music and bands or whatever, and you're talking fourth grade or whatever, and you come all up. And you've told us this story in this much of time. But yet you're speaking with so much passion.
well,
Like the guys are here.
Yeah.
Like you're like, we're getting ready to go on stage.
And you can feel it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's-
Yeah. It's definitely a vibe.
well, we were competitors. Like there'd be these battle of the bands, and man, nobody wanted to lose. I mean, but we were all friends. I mean, if it came down to a weekend and we had a gig or whatever to play, I might call Mark Sizemore and say, hey Mark, if you guys aren't playing, could I borrow your wah-wah pedal?
Oh.
And Mark said, yeah, I just need it back by Monday.
Yeah.
And everybody kind of helped each other out. It was
Because they didn't. It was all about helping everybody. Now you couldn't do that. Now it's all about.
Well, although, I think about my son's band. He plays with Sean Lamb. And I tell you, the thing I really enjoy about them, you've got Sean and Janet Miller, incredible singer.
And they just kind of recently paired up, right?
I'm sorry.
They just kind of recently paired up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say within the last year or two.
Yeah, okay. So locally, we have a musician that's played around, Sean Lamb, and he's dabbled in Nashville.
Yes.
He has an album or two out.
Well, yeah. The last one was, I think, came around maybe 2017. It was really incredible.
Right.
Funny story about it. Well, and then, of course, the other, Mike Selke, plays bass, and he's been around forever. He played in a lot of those early bands. When Sean and those guys went to Nashville to record that CD, my son texted me and he said, Dad, this isn't a studio like you would think. I got the impression it was more like a farmhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I don't know if I can take this. I'm standing right next to Ray Charles' piano.
Whoa.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. So they all these wonderful recording acts had recorded there. It wasn't like, a studio like you think in downtown Nashville. Well, a gentleman was there, Wayne Moss, and he was the lead guitar player on Roy Orbison, a lot of songs. Oh. And he was the iconic Pretty Woman lead.
Yeah, my dad loved Roy Orbison. Yeah.
Well, and Wayne took a liking to these guys. And I think, if I memory serves me right, he actually played on a couple of the songs. But so when Sean had a CD release party in Richmond, I think in 2017, Wayne Moss, who was in his 70s, I think, at the time, drove up from Nashville, played a couple songs with him, played Pretty Woman with him, and said, "It's been fun, guys," and he went back to Nashville. Nice. But, I mean, he thought that much of those guys to do that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and the thing I like about this band is they all enjoy each other. And you can feel that on the stage. There's not it's about me.
Right. No egos.
Yeah. And it's just like in basketball and bands, there's so many similarities. It only takes one ego to make it a train wreck.
Yep.
So you got into, you also, along with music, art, you also were a coach.
Oh, yeah.
And so all that kind of ties together, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
We can lead in that. And another thing I remember the most was we played Richmond High School. And that's when they had like Woody Austin.
David Cruz.
God, when that guy slam dunked.
He was, and I loved him. I loved the way he competed. I loved everything about that kid. And not to take anything, Woody was obviously awesome. But Dave was just, to me, I think he was maybe my favorite player on that team. I love the kid.
He can run down the floor. I remember him coming down and making that.
He was kind of like a Barkley type. Just this big body, but so agile.
Another guy I remember from the Richmond, Andy Gadosh, I think was on the team. Big, tall guy. I remember him and Richard would battle.
The only name I remember growing up and playing was Bart Flum.
Bart Flum, yeah.
And here's why I remember. It was sectional or whatever we were playing. I don't know, Connorsville, wherever.
It was Connorsville.
Last second
playing
shot.
Union County.
Yep, threw it up, and we're just like, oh my God, it's in. And then here's the rim, and boom, stuck between the backboard and the goal.
Lincoln had an incredible team that year. It was Bart Flum, Dave Heflin, Brian Gowker, Ronnie Russell. There were some others.
You remember that?
Yeah.
I still tell my wife Barb about that. I'm like, God, I wish where was that at?
That was a Spartan Bowl.
Oh, yeah, it was in Connorsville.
And they were playing Union County. Union County was really good. And that place was packed.
Oh, yeah, it was.
And when that happened,
sucked all the air out of the room.
Everything just went dead and quiet. It was like unbelievable.
Can you imagine how bad he felt?
Well, and I think I can't. Because Bart was an amazing player.
Sure, yeah.
It's
tall
funny
and
what
lanky,
sticks,
right? Yeah.
but the things that stick with you. That's going to be the shot that everybody remembers.
Yeah.
But he went on and had a great career at Hanover.
But you still don't go to bed and lay your head down on the pillow and think, exactly. Hey, I hope he's not hanging on to that, because I tell you what, it was 100% given, and that was a great game. He has nobody in that game has anything to be ashamed of.
Well, the funny thing about basketball, and I suppose most sports, it's like the kid that goes up at the end of you're in the fourth quarter, there's 5 seconds left, you're down 1, you got 2 free throws.
How many times do you do that in your driveway when you're 12 years old?
Exactly. That's what you live for.
Yeah.
But the problem is, it doesn't always work out the way we want. So that's what people remember. Well, if he'd hit those two, but they don't forget the two. They forget the two free throws that were missed in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
They forget the things that went wrong.
Yeah.
That was just a part of it. You know, there were other factors.
Yeah. They don't remember the first 12 you made. They remember the last 2 you missed.
Yeah, exactly. So that's, but that's sports. You know, that's just the way it is.
I can remember being at my mom's house with the basketball goal, and I'm out there.
Oh, every
playing.
time I beat you? I mean, is it? I mean, I'm just asking.
Yeah, there's that.
I mean,
And
basketball.
Right. Yeah, and I'm out. Yeah, right. And I'm out there playing, and I'm dribbling, and there's no one around, and I'm sitting here thinking, okay, there's 3 seconds left, and I'm like, and I'm thinking in my mind's eye, there's a scout back there from New York that's going to be watching me as I make these, because I'm in Cambridge City, and I'm, you know what I mean?
That's
in my mind's eye, and I turn around, it's like, yep, nobody's there.
Yep. But again, that's Indiana basketball.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
sure.
everybody.
Yeah.
we all had those dreams. You know.
Yeah. And what was funny, I'm going back to my senior year and thinking about when we went to the end of the season. I think we only won like 2 games in the regular season.
We won 2 games in regular season.
But I remember it was
I don't know
We
how
still-
you guys remember that shit.
no, we still played as a team though every day. We played some big
We had good
kids.
kids.
I don't remember what I ate yesterday morning for breakfast, and you guys are
No,
bringing
it's-
shit up. How
Yeah,
long
this
ago?
is 88.
God.
But I can still
That's a
remember
credit
Mr.
to you.
Coleman saying, I would like to get back to the championship game to play Richmond one more time or something like that.
And Steve, stay off the court.
Well,
Yeah.
Did he say that?
He didn't say that. Well, maybe that's the reason we had to move up another seat.
It was
but I'm just
implied.
saying.
Yeah,
that, no.
Steve, up one more.
No, but I can still remember that game. I can still see the picture that was input in Palladium item.
That's amazing. You guys still have that
Yeah.
connection. You can remember that.
And he had to shave his head.
yeah,
Oh, I do remember that.
that was fun.
I do remember
Well,
Yeah.
that.
the neat thing about that year was there was a camaraderie, and Richard, we started out with a certain amount of kids. A couple kids quit, and that's fine. Richard was the only senior we had, and we brought up. Brian Klein was a sophomore.
Brian, yeah.
Aaron
that's
Lunsford
right.
was a sophomore. We had Derek Lakes was a sophomore.
Young kids. I mean, as far as.
Yeah, Eric Evans was a sophomore.
Yeah.
Todd Norris,
Yep.
junior. Bart Myers, junior. But I mean, we were pretty young kids, and there was other kids. I don't mean to. So we start off, and see, back in that day, there was one class, and so we started off. Our first game of the year was Richmond. No, I'm sorry. We played Laurel, and Laurel at that time was good. We played Laurel, and then here's the way it played out. We played Laurel, we beat them. Then we go to Richmond.
And they, back in the day, they were a powerhouse.
Oh, yeah. They was.
They
Big
were-
school.
And then after that, it was Connorsville. Big
Well,
powerhouse,
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
We played, and then I don't know if I think we might have had Hagerstown in between, a big rivalry, and then we had Connorsville, and then before Christmas we also had Greenfield Central. So we had, so you know, the big thing then was how do you keep these kids believing that they can do anything? Because you've been.
Big
So we,
schools.
And how'd you do it?
well, here's what happened. So we go over at Richmond, and I told the kids, I said, you know, we can't. I was old school.
So what? Are
We can't-
Are
we
we
can't.
talking beginning of the game or halftime?
Well, preparation. I mean,
Okay, so
we can't run with
what
this.
I want to hear is your speech before the game, and then your speech halftime.
So what?
How's
happened?
that look like?
We go to Richmond, and they are about top 2 or 3 teams in the state, and Griff was a great coach.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So they had all this incredible talent, and the kids. Look, I'll tell you one thing about kids: you're not going to bull them. They know.
Right.
So I said, look, guys, we can't run with these guys. Let's
Stall. No, not stall.
well,
Sorry, but.
And
basically,
you threw that out there right there. You know, I'm not going to bullshit
we
these
spent-
guys.
use the clock.
It's just,
we
hey,
spent the whole week. We pick, cut. We were running a motion offense, and we wanted the absolute best shot, no matter what the circumstance. So here's what happened. I mean, I think
so you give that speech, right?
Yeah.
You're playing first quarter. You go into halftime. What's the score? Do you remember?
We're down. I mean, we're down.
We're down.
Down
But we
15, 20, 30.
Yeah, I don't remember.
You're down a bit.
But we didn't change our game plan.
Right.
We said, we're going to stay with this.
So you go into the locker room.
And so what happened was, I think the score, and I know Woody was upset because we were holding the ball and he wasn't getting his points.
Woody, that was one of the years because Woody was averaged like 33 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
He only scored like, 16 off of us, and he was mad.
Yeah.
Because, again, David Cruz spoke up and did the slam dunk. Everybody was amazed. But I just remember that Woody was so upset because he could not shoot the ball. But we held.
And that Woody is the
Woody
Connorsville?
Yeah. No, Richmond.
Richmond.
Richmond. Richmond. Right. So you guys deed them down pretty good.
So they beat us, let's say 30 points.
Mm-hmm.
The score, what upset the fans was, let's say it was 45-17.
Right.
That's not basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well,
So you say, get out there and foul. Foul.
No, what was said was after the game in the handshake, George Griff, I always call him Griff, said, Rick, you're one of the only coaches that's come over here with a game plan, and you stayed with it. You didn't say, oh, it's just Richmond. Let's go have fun.
Right.
So,
You're going in to win.
well, or at least
be structured.
Yeah.
Right?
So-
Not all willy-nilly, right?
the way it went, I think that kind of worked in our favor. Connorsville, of course, was Basil Mobby was a great coach. They had that great team, those great teams back there. But it made us better. But the thing about that team, the young kids, every game we got better, And it got to be, well, we weren't getting beat by 20 anymore. We were getting beat by 8 or 9. And we were competing.
Right.
Yeah.
The Tri-Eastern Conference was tough. So, I mean, it wasn't like there were a lot of games off. But so Steve was talking about, we go into section. Tom Zell was the coach at Northeastern. He was an incredible coach. And they had incredible teams at that time. And Doug Price was the coach at Centerville. Both those teams had beaten us during the season. So we drew Centerville, I think it was Monday or Tuesday night, whatever the format was then, and we beat them.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that game put us in the semifinal game against whoever. Well, it happened to be Tom Zell, Northeastern. And they were a load. And I mean, we had the same philosophy we had. We're going to get good shots. But we were better. I mean, our defense was better. The kids were more comfortable with the rules. Well, we beat them. So now, the haircut. But we're in the championship game of the Richmond section.
Yep.
Now, so yeah, I got my haircut the next day. I got shaved. But the community was so.
It was supportive of it.
Yeah.
It was just a great time. And so now here's the funny thing. So we go to Richmond, and I'm thinking, daggone it. These kids have been through a lot. They've done everything I've asked. And I told them, I said, guys, let's still try to get good shots, but let's enjoy the moment. Well, we ran up and down. We did more fast-paced stuff. The point spread was the same, just almost identical. And I had people saying, now that's the way to play basketball. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
But it was a special week, a special time.
I'll get one to more basketball thing, then we can cut off to something else. But I can still remember, I forget the team we played. We had a bad day. I mean, we didn't play nothing at all. I remember coming outside, it was cold outside. And when he walked outside, Mr. Coleman, next thing you know, you can see the steam. You can see it coming off his head. I remember telling Richard
Was
Roberts.
his jacket ripped?
No, that was the other story. But I remember walking in there and we were sitting there looking like, we're going to sit in the back of the bus, just in case. So
That's what you said.
But
yeah.
no, I mean but no, having him as a basketball coach, and again, this has been '88. It's still one of my most memorable times. It's the same thing with art classes. The same thing. Again, I mean, when he made musical things in the classroom and talked about that, it's just stuck in my head so much that, I'm just glad. I mean, we all felt touched by this guy.
Sure.
I mean,
great
same way.
mentor, great person,
we do appreciate
great
that.
teacher.
Really, we do.
I tell you,
And I'm sure you probably, everybody grows up and they say, you know, in my job, and I never get told that I do a good enough job. And I can only imagine being a teacher growing up that, you know, students that are growing up that know everything, they're not going to tell you that. But I tell you what, you need all the props that are out there because, I mean, your influence on, I mean, obviously, how long has this been? And
2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years ago. yeah. But then, you know, me, and then growing up, my son, which was, I mean, he wanted to get into graphic design and art and everything. I mean, because of you. And like I said, I still have his portfolio at home, and I can pull it out. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, call me biased or whatever, but I could put that shit in a frame and hang it on the wall, and I know I would get comments on it.
I don't have the picture to date, but when he told us to paint the squares, to get a picture and put squares in it, I could not do that for some reason, and I actually got an F on it. But it made me work harder to make another picture. Well, I'm not going to lie. I'm not saying it. I mean, it was a low grade. I mean, I thought it was an F, but I remember doing it and looking at it, I thought, I didn't even do that right.
Well, F means fantastic.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, you did good. That's better than an A, right?
And today it is, I think.
Today it is.
Anyway, I got a low grade on it, but I remember that, and I learned from it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this guy.
Yeah.
So
but you know, he may give you a bad grade or anything, but the difference between a lot of teachers is that they'll tell you, yeah, you didn't do well on it. But if you don't ask, what am I doing wrong, they're not going to give you that information. But he was the one that was always there, and he may give you a bad remark or a bad grade, but he would always say, how can we improve on this?
Yep.
And here's how we're going to do it, right? And it wasn't great leaps.
No.
Small strides at a time.
It was fun doing it. Yep, it was fun doing it.
And it's great instruction, great
Thank you for
teaching.
Well,
yeah, it's a gift. I couldn't do that.
It was, Cambridge was interesting. I mean, it was the perfect job for me. It was, I had no intention. I was at IU. And IU was like a total different ball game.
Yeah.
So like,
you like IU University?
Yeah.
Like Bloomington, like the Hoosiers?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and cut this now.
Well,
No,
we could go on about the substandard
Well, I'm
schools
Purdue.
up north, but anyway.
My brother. You really got?
Hey,
my daughter went to Purdue.
It's his interview now. Come on.
I know. Okay.
But
All right.
I guess I'm saying is why I was so. I mean, at IU you had everything. I mean, there was culture. There was just everything going on there, and people were. Look, in those days, you could go in a coffee shop or a bar, and you could sit down with somebody who had a different political opinion.
Yeah.
And you could discuss something, and you walked away and you weren't mad.
Yeah, you're not offended. Mm-hmm. Good conversation.
I loved it. So, my mother was sick, very sick. She passed away a couple years. The main reason I came back to Connersville was because of her, and I wanted to be around. So, I student taught at Cambridge, and Doc Amick. I will always be indebted to him.
He was a good guy. Good love, Doc.
He saw something in me because I'm going to tell you, I was horrible. I was.
Well,
my head,
that's probably because you went to IU.
My head was.
But go ahead. Oh, now you're only talking to him, right? You don't want to talk to me.
I think that's going to be.
That's what he's going to do.
But
Shoot.
he saw something in me. He believed in me, and I don't know what it was, but he did. So he calls me one day. And he says, "Hey, Coleman, Judy Godfrey was an amazing elementary art
Judy
teacher.
Godfrey, yeah.
Yep, I had her too.
Yeah, she was wonderful." And he said that Judy Godfrey only wants to go to a couple days a week. He said, "I could offer you a part-time job." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, you would be at Milton a day and a half and Dublin a day and a half." So I go to Milton Tuesday until Wednesday at noon. Then Wednesday at noon I go to Dublin. And then so I said, "Well, Doc, let me ask you." I said, "So you're saying I don't have to work on Friday?"
Yeah.
He said, "Yeah." And I said, "And I don't work on Mondays?" He He said, yeah. So where do we sign
Yeah,
this
where's
contract?
this contract at?
So it was perfect because, the beautiful thing then, the thing about Cambridge and what I found out, I learned more teaching elementary because the teachers there were so nurturing.
Mm-hmm.
But those schools were they were an integral part of that community's identification.
Oh, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I sit in the teacher's lounge at Milton, and Mary Ruth Kelsey, Joan Oliver, Billy Leapley,
Mr.
Wow.
Oliver.
Joy Louder.
Yeah.
You go down
Louder.
the line.
Still friends with her son, Brandon.
Yeah, wonderful people. They knew every kid in that school. They knew
That's
their
perfect.
families, their family issues. I go to Dublin. Patty Hirschberg,
Ah, yeah.
Marge
Patty
Breyer,
Hirschberg.
Lucretia Myers. You could
Oh,
Judy
yeah.
McClain.
God almighty.
Wonderful people, and they knew everything about those communities, the kids, and what their needs were. Dave Weston was a wonderful principal. I mean, now I understand economics drives everything. And then when I went to Pershing, when I did become full time the last few years, I went to Pershing and Central, and I saw the same thing. When they closed those schools,
Oh, I know. It's terrible.
and I understand, but I think you took a heart out of those communities.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
But that was such a special time. I mean, it really was. And even the custodian, Slats Jordan at Dublin, that was his school. Paul Geis at Milton, man, that was his school. They took pride in those
Oh,
schools.
yeah.
Paul Geis. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just recently passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So
guy.
that, I don't know, I kind of went off the
No,
track.
no,
No, I
Good,
mean,
no.
you're right.
But you're right. This community
yeah.
is strong on something
You
like
know,
that.
you have
Yeah.
the main
You know,
vein, and
yeah.
you have the the little capillars of the little schools that branch off, and then you cut them off, and everybody goes here. I mean, you lose a lot. To me, like you said, you lose a lot in the hometown, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't, I mean, that happened everywhere, but
Sure.
it was, everything's economically driven. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the way it is. But it was, I'm glad I experienced that. I really am. And I remember when Mr. Copeland was the superintendent, and he said,
Oh, good night.
he called me and
Going
said, well, I'm
deep,
moving
yeah.
to the high school. So I'm not sure about this, but okay, but
Yep.
I had such good kids every year. I mean,
That's me.
he pays cash. So
That's hurtful.
Told you.
That's just hurtful.
it was just a good relationship, I can't imagine doing anything else.
No.
So let's talk about you get out of high school. You went to Indiana, obviously, right?
Eventually, I went to, I was at a Bible college for a year, and then
Oh, yeah. Okay.
that didn't go real well. So what I ended up doing was I went to IU East, which when I went to IU East, we were still on campus at Earl.
Oh,
They didn't have the new
yeah.
complex.
Yeah.
So it was funny because we played basketball, and we had a team, and Dale Harris was the coach at
Joe
Earl.
Harris. Yeah.
And then, of course, he ended up being the coach of Houston Rockets. Man, you talk about a great guy. I mean, we shared their gym with him, and he made us feel like, we were so welcome. But that was fun because I got to be the last, when they moved to the new campus, I got to be a part of that and see that start. And that's how it's grown. I wouldn't, if I had gone to IU right out of high school, I don't know what I'd be doing right now.
You probably would have failed because it's
I-
you.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I don't want to get off the rabbit trail, but he brought up Dale Harris. But I can still remember the senior in high school.
I want to get back on the trail because it's IU and they
No.
suck.
I want to get
Should've
off
gone
the
to
trail
Purdue.
because we went
So,
to Ball State my
Right.
senior year.
Continue.
That's
Rick
right.
Majerus
Yeah.
was the coach for Ball State that year because Rodney Klein played there.
Yeah.
And so we got to go up and watch them practice. So that was another memorable moment
Right,
for me
yeah,
that
yeah.
for one,
Majerus was
it
amazing.
was something
guy.
else. Yeah. So sorry about that.
So let's talk a little bit about.
Purdue and Sheep.
Well, that's funny. That's original. I mean, that's haha.
I'm sorry, that was bad.
Oh, that's theirs. I'll give you that.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Touche.
No, touche. That's
Touche.
Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't dig deeper.
I wish
on
I would have thought of
ones.
that.
Yeah, I know. So you're growing up. You're listening to music. You know, growing up in your collegiate years. What's something that you would listen to?
Well, at IU, I mean, what happened, that was kind of, when I was there, disco was kind of coming on the scene, and it was changing a lot of the really great.
So stop. Pause. You're going to IU. You're listening to disco music.
No, I'm not.
No, you did. You said that. So enough said. Continue.
So,
Is there any
You did
pictures?
say disco music.
I gotta
and
see
IU.
was popular.
No, you didn't say that. You said I was listening to disco music and I loved it going to IU.
Can we stop this and let me retract? Let's erase that whole segment.
Yeah,
Once I
we
left it.
can't. Jay, stop, rewind. Edit that to
There was
benefit me.
There were some things that kept you sane during that period, like
And that
the
was
Bluebird.
disco?
Have you guys ever been to the Bluebird? It's a really neat bar downtown. Well, and that's where I heard John Cougar
Oh, yeah. What year?
before he actually.
Oh, yeah.
exploded. But they would bring in these wonderful bands. But disco was taking over. So the music that I listened to at the time, to counteract that, Pink Floyd had just metal, and then
Metal. Pink Floyd. What's the album?
Dark Side.
Metal. What is that?
Metal was
Black
right before
Sabbath.
Dark Side.
Oh, yeah. But
It was kind of an overlooked album just because.
oh, you're talking about the name metal.
Metal, yeah,
I
that
thought
was
you were
named
talking
down.
about
I'm
genre.
sorry. No.
So okay, yeah.
It was Meddle, but also there were groups like Fleetwood Mac was just really blowing up with rumors, Boston. So we listened to those bands. They were kind of like our salvation. There was
Sure,
still good
yeah.
music being done, and not all disco was bad. There was some really good stuff. Donna Summer I thought was incredible, but it was just kind of a plastic.
Yeah. So you're probably talking what? Early 70s?
76, 77,
Okay.
somewhere around there.
So let me ask your.
So Kiss didn't.
Yeah, that's
in.
where I'm
They
at.
were kind of, involved.
So
coming in.
let me ask your opinion of Kiss. You like them or hate them?
I didn't really have I kind of liked them. I mean,
You ever see them?
I never saw them live, no. To me, they were kind of like, and again, I think that's something like Black Sabbath and Alice Cooper and Kiss. They all kind of developed into the same type of stage act routine.
But did they?
Oh shoot.
This is where we're going to disagree with that, but that's okay.
That's fine. I mean, I don't know. I just they were kind of a
No, you're right. 100% right. I just don't want to agree with it because that hurts me. It hurts me here and it hurts me here.
Does it?
Yeah, it does.
Now I feel bad.
I don't. No,
No, you don't.
No,
You
don't.
don't. Don't fall for
I'm going
that.
to see this guy cry.
So 70s Kiss, you're like, okay, great. So out of college, you've graduated, you're transition. What are you listening to now?
Well, here's what happened. So, I was when I got married, when my fiance Brenda and I, she started.
Listening to Kiss?
She was really into a whole different thing. So,
Disco?
no. She
Jazz? Jazz fusion?
no.
Oh shit.
She introduced me to Leonard Cohen
Oh yeah.
and John Prine, and I'd never.
John Prine.
Oh yeah.
And then also, there were people like David Allan Coe, but
Yeah.
when I heard Leonard Cohen, I thought, and again, I like music. See, I think art and music should do two things. They should take you someplace you've never been before. It should be a new experience. It should be fresh. And I think when we talked about everything growing up through the 60s, how everything was new. And Pink Floyd was new. That Dark Side was new.
Oh yeah.
But when I heard Leonard Cohen, and he's singing Bird on a Wire, and he progressed, and I'm thinking, who is this guy? Why haven't I heard him before? And then John Prine, are you guys familiar with the song Sam Stone?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, that is incredible. I mean, that is, and I'm listening to these guys, and it's like, honestly, I've never heard music before. So
Up to that point, you were like, "What in the hell have I been listening to?"
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I kind of found this middle ground where I still But today I was listening to Mickey Newberry, and but every day, I mean, like we drive to Indianapolis to see our grandkids. You know, we've got John Prine on or Bob Dylan, and these guys that wrote about life and real experiences, and I think that stuff it just gets me. I mean, it's just like I get lost in it.
Yeah.
You know.
So here's a question for you. You're driving to see your grandkids. You get in the car, and all of a sudden your wife says, "Oh my God, we're not listening to that again, are we?"
No.
What song is there something out there that she's like, "My goodness, haven't we heard enough of that?"
No, because I think while I still enjoy things like Pink Floyd, they weren't her favorites. It's a give and take. I mean, like when I work on my art, there's certain music that I want to listen to.
So you're sure she would say that?
I'm pretty sure.
Well, because it just so happens this is your life. And right now, on the phone, we have... I'm just kidding. We don't have her.
Damn, I was getting excited. I thought, oh.
Yeah.
Now, do you have one song that, like anybody of those bands, that when you take a ride to Indianapolis, did you actually have to turn up to listen?
No.
There'll be two or three, and then there'll always be these new groups I've never heard of. And I'll say, Brenda, who is this? You know, she'll get on the phone and say, well, that's this and this, because they play, you know, like music. You know,
Sure.
I tell you, no, I mean, there's a lot of those. I mean, that I just want to focus on.
If you were listening to music, your wife came in, you walked in, and there was a band or a song you were listening to, and she walked in and she would look at you and say, "What in the world is this?"
What
the heaviest type, like
the only thing
out of the ordinary for you.
The only time that's ever really happened that I can think of recently, there's a composer, Philip Glass, and he does. It can be annoying. I'll be the first to admit, and it's kind of the same repetitious thing over and over.
Composer, like orchestra.
Well, and moods, and he's an amazing guy, but I mean, and she did say, Rick, that's getting to be a little bit much. I said, okay, I get it.
It's not orchestra. It's like guitars, drums,
he
new
does
wave,
everything.
whatever.
He's done soundtracks. He does. Okay, the original Dracula, Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
There was outside of the opening credits. There's no music throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, right. And he composed that,
And
right?
he
No music
did.
throughout the whole thing. I agree, Brenda. I agree. I'm just gonna tell her that right now. That's the best thing that he's done. Is no music in that.
Okay.
In the Dracula, you know.
Yeah.
In between. Yeah. Is that the best thing he's done?
Oh no, it's not the best.
Well, I'm thinking she's gonna agree.
Oh, shoot.
Can we move the camera this way?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oops, sorry.
It's all right. It's fun.
So, what would be the heaviest music you would listen to? Actually, let's strike that. If you were on a desert island and you had 3 songs that you could listen to over and over and over.
What about 3 albums?
That was it.
How about 3 albums?
Yeah, let's go 3 songs first.
Okay.
That's tough. Daggone. And Brent and I do this all the time.
Do you? Well, then you should be good at it. What is it?
I'm not good at it.
Yeah,
But it can
Brenda,
change-
you're not doing
it's
a good
gonna
job,
change.
Brenda.
Yeah, it
Every
can
half
change.
hour.
That's fine.
That's
I'm
what I
talking
want to sit
about
down.
right now. Right now.
On an island, I think I'd probably want to listen to Jimmy Buffett, but I don't know.
You're going to listen to that when no one's here to save you. Is that it?
I can't name a specific album, but one would have to be an album of Leonard Cohen. Mm-hmm. One would have to be an album of John Prine. Mm-hmm. And then it's just, do I want Sgt. Pepper, Abbey Road? Do I want Dark Side?
Oh, okay.
There's so many. I mean, that's man, it's tough.
Sounds like we're leading into the 15 for 15.
We exactly are. That's what I was
How
saying.
about if we take a break and get 15 through the 15?
All right. After this break, we're going to get into the 15 for 15 with probably my favorite teacher, Rick Coleman.
Mr. Coleman.
Mr. Coleman. I'm Pete Judy on the Barstool Banner with Steve from Steve-O's Music Madness with Rick Coleman. I'll see you in a few.
Yeah, here we go.
Welcome back to the Barstool Banner. I'm your host, Pete Judy, with Steve from Steve-O's Music Madness and the ever-wise Rick Coleman.
Mr. Coleman.
Mr. Coleman. I apologize, Rick. I feel like I could say that. We're on a personal level.
Oh,
I mean, I would say I feel like we're equal, but shit, that ain't true. We know that for a fact. So what I like to do is I like to ask the people that I interview, I call it 15 for 15. This is 15 questions, 15 seconds. But one, it's never 15 questions. It's never 15 seconds.
Okay.
So the idea of it is I ask you a question first thing off your head.
Okay.
Don't think about it.
Okay.
Like, who's your favorite student? See, you thought about it. Should have been me. Okay?
I see.
Okay, cut that out. Okay, we're going to try it again. Who's your favorite student?
My son and daughter.
Fair enough.
I'll go
You
with
can
that.
leave that in. Okay, so when you were out traveling and you're going on vacations or what is your favorite place to stop and eat?
Well, we have a rule that we will not, once we get to where we're going, we don't eat at any franchises.
Really?
But on the road, oh no.
So when you're traveling, no franchises.
Well, as we're traveling,
When
we'll
they get
stop
to the
at
spot.
McDonald's. But once we get there, no. We eat at local hangouts. We find
Really?
Yeah.
So when you get to where you're going, and how do you find them? Yelp, YouTube, what?
Well, back in the day, we just kind of, like in Panama City, I love oysters. And we found this oyster bar,
Yeah.
and it was kind of a biker bar.
No,
But
you know, my dad always told me, and I think he's right, and Barb and I still stick to this, that some of the best places that you want to have a beer or you want to have food is the hole in the wall.
yeah, they are. I mean, absolutely.
Nice.
They had, I get a dozen raw oysters. They'd be that big, that thick. And there'd be, pool tables around. The beer was ice cold. Brenda drinks tea or water. And she got these seasoned French fries. I mean, man, you couldn't beat it,
Like fresh cut type shit?
Yeah. I mean, it's great.
I'm hungry now. Where was that at?
Panama City Beach.
I just go there and hunt Panama City Beach
Yeah.
oysters?
Not tonight, you can't.
Well,
Not tonight.
Yeah, we can drive there, start
Yeah,
tonight.
Okay.
let
I'm
me know
hungry.
when you do that.
Let me know when you do that, and as long as Pete's not with you, I'll go. Okay.
Well, that's why they have trunks.
Fair enough. First band that you were in, most memorable. What was the name of it? Something you haven't told us.
Savoy Truffle.
What?
Savoy Truffle.
Sideway.
Savoy Truffle. It
Sad
was a
boy.
Beatles song.
Sad boy trouble.
Savoy Truffle.
Sad.
Savoy
Savoy.
Truffle.
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 Yeah. It was a Beatles song off their White album.
Goodness, how many people?
Well, that was when we picked up Denny Richardson. That was the band that kind of lasted. Actually, our last.
Did
gig-
anybody pronounce your name? Because I sure in the hell can't.
Oh, we'd have little business cards made. Every band.
Sideway Shuffle, is that what everybody says?
Savoy.
Sideway Shuffle.
Next question, please.
Go ahead, Pete.
I like Sideway Shuffle better. But that's just me. Okay,
Comprehension.
so here's a question for you, and this is right now situational. What do you think is the best song ever written?
Well, Paul McCartney
Paul
said that
McCartney?
Brian Wilson,
Oh.
God Only Knows,
Yeah.
was the best song that was ever written.
But I don't care what Paul McCartney said. I care about what Rick Coleman said.
Well,
If you could turn on the radio and say, "Damn it, I wish I would have written that," what song is it?
Sam Stone.
Sideways Shuffle. What?
Sam Stone.
Oh, Sam Stone. Okay, really?
Yeah, I think it's amazing.
Nice.
John
Piece of
Prine.
American history.
Oh, you're not kidding. Okay, when you're at home, what's your favorite thing to do?
Paint. I mean, that's my
Great
hobby.
painter. Yeah,
Right.
that's yeah.
Right. Oh, painting. And at the end of this interview, we're going to show some images. We're going to show, maybe share some music of some of the stuff that Rick's done and some of his influences, maybe some of his sister's stuff. So stay tuned for that. Don't cut short. If you get in your car right now, turn it on. What song's playing? Not the radio. What song? Self-influenced song.
I'm trying. Right now, what I have is Mickey Newberry and Waycross Southern Boy.
Okay. What's the years?
I don't know that.
Yeah.
It's,
Early.
yeah, 70s, I would say.
Yeah. Okay.
I actually want to look this up now.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
after the show. Go
Mickey
ahead.
Newberry.
You, I mean, you can look it up now. You want to
You
stop
cannot-
for a minute and pause?
You cannot
no,
write
no.
a more
No, I
Are you
just-
painful.
sure?
Yeah, I'm
This
good.
guy writes the most painful songs I've ever heard. I mean, there's so...
It's almost like I'm talking to you. It's painful, but it's great. I'm kidding. I feel you. I'm teasing.
I know.
Not, okay. Boxers or briefs?
Boxers.
Boxers. Nice. Favorite color? Black, blue, red, passion pink.
Khaki.
Nice. Nice. Okay, here's a song, or here's a question that the older generation gets, the younger doesn't. Do you still owe money to Columbia Music?
No.
Do you remember that?
Oh,
Columbia
yes, I do.
Everybody.
Yeah, I do.
How is that?
Well, my sister, I remember owing money, and I had to... She... But I loved the collection she had,
I know.
But it's like,
See,
Luann, see, here's what happens. This
yeah,
is the deal.
yeah, there's economics. Here's how this works. Oh, I know.
So many albums for a penny.
But I'm telling you, how many people got sucked into that?
Oh, no. Well, I don't know. You didn't. You never enrolled.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Okay.
But he doesn't want to say anything in case the credit people's out there watching this
Right,
like,
right.
oh shit.
When you're out driving, and you're traveling, what is the worst place that you will not eat at? You'll drive right by it for 100 miles. I'm not stopping there.
Oh shoot. I don't know if we can put this out there, Pete.
I've eaten about anything. I'll eat anything.
White Castle, you love?
I love White Castle.
Shit. God, he's hardcore. Taco Hell, you'll eat that.
It's not a...
So if you're driving and your wife says, let's stop there, you will just say, there's no place like that. You're like, we can find better.
No. I'm pretty easy. I mean, I like about anything. It has to be pretty bad for me.
Well, then why do you not like me?
I didn't say that.
Yeah, but
think
your
you have
attitude implies that you don't like me.
I think you read things... I think you have a complex.
I do. I do. And thanks for pointing that out. Toilet paper. Over the roll. Me.
Yeah. I was just thinking, you said...
The first thing that comes to your mind, fair enough. God, he's too good at this. Toilet paper, over the roll, under the roll.
Overrides.
Oh my God, everybody says over the
Well,
roll.
it just feels awkward.
It does. If you go into the bathroom and it's over the roll, do you change it?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. What psychopaths don't?
What?
What psychopaths don't change it? You go into your friend's house, it's under the roll, do you change it?
I
Yeah.
might talk to them about it.
You change it, wouldn't you?
We got a problem.
If you could pick the ideal tour, headliner, opener, who would it be?
Dead or alive. Any band.
Dead or alive, anybody.
Any band.
You mean...
If you had to go to see a concert tour,
Yeah.
who would
If
be
somebody
the two
said,
bands?
here's a ticket, anybody you want to see, headliner and opener, who would you pick?
Headliner? Beatles.
Okay. Opener?
Well,
Doesn't matter if it's the same era or not.
I can't get away from Leonard Cohen.
No, great. That's fine. Vinyl, CD, or digital? What's your favorite media?
8-track. Might as well.
Or 8-track, yeah. Cassettes, yeah. Usually when we're talking to people, they don't stretch that, but Steve and I do.
Yep.
So if we usually say something like that to people they're interviewing, they go, what?
See, I'm old school.
See, 78 LP, is that one of them?
Yeah.
33 and a third?
33 and a third. Yeah.
45?
Yeah.
I still like to have things in my hand. I've got the iPod and all that, but you can't buy CDs now, so or cassettes. If I could have one, I'd still like to have the cassette. I mean, I like
Really?
That was a great era for that. It's all compact disc.
The best thing about the cassettes was you could buy incredible recorders, and you could
Oh,
record
yeah.
off albums.
Oh, off
And-
radio.
Oh,
off
okay.
the-
Yeah.
And you could make these great mixes.
Do you own any cassettes?
I think there's some in some boxes someplace.
Do you own any 8-tracks?
No,
Albums, I'm sure you own.
just very few. Most of them I sold in Bloomington to Karma to get money for other
Steve,
things.
the albums you gave him, he's going to sell.
No, I'm not.
Hey, they're
no,
there.
those are signed. They're
I'd
mine.
sell them.
What
I
about
would
like a
sell 'em.
cassette, like he was talking about? A great thing was, remember back in the day that you sit there and wait till your favorite song come on and hit the
Yeah.
record button?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the
Yeah.
greatest thing.
Yeah.
Or the tape goes and you got to put the pen in.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that would happen occasionally, but that was
Yeah.
still a lot better than dealing with 8-tracks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, if you go to see a band in a concert, what's the most favorite thing you like? When you show in, some people, they go to a ball field, baseball, they walk in, they're like, I love the smell. If you go to a concert, what is something that you walk in and you say, I will never, ever not miss this?
Well, aside from the main attraction, I
Right.
enjoy
I'm
watching.
talking about ambience.
I enjoy watching people. I mean, Brent and I both watch people and I just find them interesting. So I mean, you just kind of watch people and how they interact.
That's what Barb likes to do. She loves to watch people.
Yeah, I think it's fun.
Okay, if you were not an influential art teacher, molder of minds that you are, what would you do? If they said, nope, teaching's not in for you, art is not in for you, music, sorry, what would you do?
No music,
Nope, take it out.
no art.
Yeah. Take out everything you're comfortable with. What would you do?
I think I'd like to work with animals. Maybe, I don't know, some level. I mean, like study apes. I love apes.
You're doing a good job
Here's
right now.
this, the guy right here. Have you met him?
But no, I think
We call him the grape ape.
I'd love to do something with animals.
Really?
Yeah.
Our daughter loves animals. You go. What is this? What was that?
We was just discussing about,
Just talk.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of talk.
You hurt me here, and you hurt me here when you
Well,
do
there's
these
only
things
one
like
possibility.
that. Yeah, you're exactly right. Well, my wife would agree with you. There is only one possibility. There's no brain, and there's barely a heart. You go to a restaurant, chicken or steak.
Chicken.
He's, yeah, I think
White
everybody's.
meat. I could see that.
Yeah.
White meat. I don't know.
Pete's
What-
famous line, everybody says steak, is you're going to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
Well, and that's changed over the years. I mean, if you'd asked me 20 years ago, I'd probably said steak. But
Yeah.
it's just,
What? You go to a restaurant right now. What do you want to eat?
Steak.
Yeah. Bart, what would you eat? Steak or chicken? Chicken. Jay? Steak. You're going to die of a heart
See,
attack.
me and Jay's still young. Yeah.
Okay. Last question I have for you. The concerts that you've been to, the shows that you've seen, what has been the best show that when you're done and you're laying in the casket, you will say, God, I'm glad I saw that
I'm
show.
glad I saw Leonard Cohen.
Really?
Absolutely.
Man, you keep going to him, don't you?
I need to check this out.
Do you?
I got to go to that.
And if you listen to his music, he progressed. I mean, his last 3 or 4 albums, where his last album particularly, where he is facing his own demise. I mean, and he writes songs that just about making peace, treaties with people, and he was incredible. I mean, if you really listen, if you get into him, I think you'll enjoy it.
Lyrics type thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Steve's a drummer, so he doesn't know anything.
I don't know about lyrics yet. It takes me a
He
while.
knows
I'm
about
one of the
beats.
25%.
Yeah, I'm more of a lyric guy.
I listen to
we
the
used to
beats.
be in a band. I used to write and everything.
Well, and I think as I've gotten older, that lyrics mean more to me. You know,
Yeah, they were always more to me.
Yeah.
But Steve, he could care less about my influence.
I'm a drummer. I was a timekeeper. I got to make sure you're happy.
Yeah. But did you?
No, I left the band.
Certainly. This has been the Barstool Banner with Pete Judy as your host, Steve from Steve-O's Music Madness, and Rick Coleman.
Coleman.
Mr. Coleman, we want to thank you for being here,
thank you.
speaking to us and talking to us. Hey, you guys make sure you watch. This guy has got 3 more hours worth of questions. Let us know if there's anything you want to know to ask. Appreciate
Thank
you
you.
being here.
Thank you.
Steve?
Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Steve, thank you very much. For the Barstool Banner, I'm Pete Judy with Steve from Steve-O Music Madness and Rick Coleman. See you.
Mr. Coleman.